Welcome to Sunday School. The Sunday School in July sort of reminds me of summer Bible school. At the First Methodist Church in Columbus, Nebraska, I remember fondly the first summer I was in Nebraska. I was about 7, I guess, and Mom informed me that I would have to go to Bible school. Now, it wasn't on Sunday, because on Sunday I had to light the candles and snuff out the candles at the 11 o'clock service, and I had to sing in the child's choir at the 8 o'clock service. So Bible school was not a pleasant experience. It was in 1956. The church was already 100 years old. Bible school was in the basement, and my mom said it was only going to be for an hour. So I said, okay. So she took me there, dropped me off. I went down into that. It wasn't sweltering, but it was very musty, and no other kids wanted to be there either. And then I found out it was going to be for 3 hours. And there was a little felt board. I don't know if the board was felt, and the little cutout Bible characters. There was a little Adam and a little Eve and a little tree with a snake on it, and there was sort of a cloud kind of thing with looked like sort of Da Vinci's bearded God in it, with a hand sticking out of it. It was kind of clever. And they told the story of Adam and Eve, and after Eve gives Adam the apple, the Sunday school teacher knocked both Adam and Eve off of the felt board. And I was sitting there. I got to remember, I was raised for 7 years in kind of hip environment in Southern California. And I sat there with my mouth open going, "You've got to be joking." And that's also where the Sunday school teacher, the classes met individually in their own little curtained off area for each grade level, but then we all met together in the giant common room for the important lecture. And I remember I talk about it in my Life of the Spirits. The Sunday school teacher of the big class was talking about how it was important that we were Christians because everybody else was going to hell. And other kids, the older kids, were asking, do Catholics go to hell? Yes, Catholics go to hell because, well, do Presbyterians go to hell? And my mom's a Lutheran. Does she go to? No, Lutherans don't, and Presbyterians don't. Catholics do. Well, what about all the Jews? Wasn't no? Yeah, they go to hell unless of course they've got the opportunity to. And so, well, what about Somebody asked about the people in India. They didn't even know how to ask if they're Hindus or what their religion was. And that's when the teacher said, no, they live in darkness and they live in ignorance. To show how stupid they are or how ignorant they are, because God hasn't blessed them with the gospel, they don't eat meat, and they're starving to death there, and they think their cows are holy, and they let the cows eat all their food. But their dark religion won't let them eat meat. And he said, if they don't eat meat, if they won't eat those cows, why do the country is just crawling with monkeys? Why don't they eat the monkeys? And right then, I knew this was insanity. Okay. I digress. I didn't mean to get off on that. I'm going to finish up talking about Liber 5 Vel Reguli, the second important Thelemic pentagram ritual. And this is the one that uses the averse pentagrams. And we talked about that yesterday. I'm not going to go over it again. I'm actually going to walk through, not walk through, I'm going to sit here, but I'm going to take us through the ritual itself. It's only 2 pages. Not only that, but if you choose to memorize this and do it in your living room, because Crowley says it's a ritual incantation proper to invoke the energies of the Aeon of Horus, adopted for the daily use of magicians of whatever grade. And like I mentioned yesterday, it if nothing else, it sort of squirts Thelemic WD-40 into the wheels of your psychic and magical body. I'm just going to shut up. I've got a couple of because it's Sunday school, I'm going to knock a couple of figures off of the felt board for us. Liber 5 Vel Reguli, AA publication in Class D, being a ritual of the mark of the beast. An incantation proper to invoke the energies of the Aeon of Horus, adapted for daily use of the magician at whatever grade. First gesture. Now, the last gesture is similar to this, in the same way that we do the Kabbalistic cross at the beginning and ending of say, a lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram. So this is the Oath of the Enchantment, first gesture. I'm going to hold this up so you can follow along. The anima diversion, or it's sort of a comment or a reflection upon, toward the Aeon. And there's a little drawing that looks something like that right in the middle. That's sort of the Hierophantic cross. Let the magician, robed and armed as he may deem to be fit, turn his face toward Boleskine, that is the house of the beast 666. Now, usually in a ritual, we start off by facing east. And generally speaking, where I live, Boleskine, forgive my pronunciation, everyone, is more or less east, a little bit northeast from here. The reason this is kind of important because in the same way that Muslims face Mecca as a geographic point, a center, the navel of the universe of their religion, Crowley, because of certain statements in the Book of the Law, felt that Boleskine House in Scotland was that sacred area, and that it could be burned down, which it has been, but it's been restored. That's a miracle. That's a Thelemic miracle story in and of itself. But that's another thing. But if you have a opportunity to contribute to that ongoing restoration effort, please do. Please do. But I digress. Let the magician, robed and armed as he may deem to be fit, turn his face toward Boleskine, that is the house of the beast 666. Let him strike the battery. 1, 1, 2, 3, 1. So this. Let him put the thumb of his right hand between the index and medius, and make the gestures hereafter following. Okay. Let him describe a circle about his head, crying, Nuit. Let him draw the thumb vertically down and touch the root of his phallus. And that's assuming it's a hymn. Otherwise, it's the medulla or the Muladhara chakra. And cry, Hadit! Then let him retrace the line and touch the center of his breast. And cry, Rahur Kuit. Now that's the Kabbalistic equivalent of the Kabbalistic cross. Nuit, Hadit, Rahur Kuit. Then let him touch the center of his forehead, his mouth, and his larynx, and cry, I was. Let him draw the thumb from right to left, across the face at the level of the nostrils. Let him touch the center of his breast and his solar plexus, crying, Therian. Let him draw the thumb from left to right, across his breast at the level of the sternum. Then let him touch his navel and the root of his phallus, crying, where is it? Babylon. Let him draw his thumb from right to left across his abdomen at the level of the hips. Thus shall he formulate the sigil of the Grand Hierophant, but dependent from the circle. The asseveration of the spells. Let the magician clasp his hands upon his wand, his fingers and thumbs interlaced, crying, Lashtal, Thelema, Viav, Agape, Aum. Thus shall be declared the words of power, whereby the energies of the Aeon of Horus work his will in the world. The proclamation of the accomplishment. Let the magician strike the battery of 353, crying abrahadabra. Now, that entire process, that sequence, that protocol is repeated at the end of the ritual to close it out. Nuit, Hadit, Rahur, Kuit. Okay. Let the magician still facing Boleskine. Okay, let's assume that's pretty much easterly here. Advance to the circumference of his circle. Let him turn himself toward the left and pace. Well, let's see here. And pace with the stealth and swiftness of a tiger the precincts of his circle until he complete one revolution thereof. So it would be like, let's say Boleskine's this way, and you go to the left this way. God, I hate this thing. One revolution to the left, counterclockwise, passing the north, the west, the south, and the east. And every time you pass the east or Boleskine house, you project. It's a Golden Dawn technique. You use the sign of the Enter toward that sacred center. So when it says here, let them advance to the circumference of the circle, let him turn himself toward the left and pace with the stealth and swiftness of a tiger the precincts of his circle until he complete one revolution thereof. Okay. Let him give the sign of Horus, or the Enter, as he passeth, so to project the force that radiateth from Boleskine before him. Let him pace his path until he comes, what did I do with my thing? Again to the north. So that's one complete revolution and then a quarter more from that. So 1 1/4 revolution around. Let him pace his path until he comes to the north. Let him halt and turn his face toward the north. Okay, turning my face toward the north there. Let him halt and turn his face toward the north. Let him trace with his wand the averse pentagram proper to invoke air, or Aquarius. And that's what it would look like from your point of view. Air, Aquarius. That's an active quarter. Let him bring the wand to the center of the pentagram and call upon Nuit. Let him make the sign called Puella, standing with feet together, head bowed, his left hand shielding his phallus and his right hand shielding his breast, the attitude of Venus de Medici. Venus on the half shell. Let me see if I can keep all my things here. There we go. Puella, demonstrated by the most beautiful woman in the world. Let him, okay, so there we are in the north right now. Let him turn again to the left and pursue his path as before, projecting the force from Boleskine as he passeth, let him halt when he next comes to the south. Okay, so that's 1/2 circle till we're facing now south. Let him trace a pentagram invoking fire, Leo. That's what it would look like. Let him point his wand to the center of the pentagram and cry, Hadit! Let him give the sign of puer, standing with feet together, head erect, his right hand, thumb between the index and medius, to be raised, forearm vertical with the right angle with the upper arm, which is horizontally extended in a line with the shoulders. It's much easier to show this than to describe it, but I'm going to keep reading. Let his left hand, thumb extended forward, and the fingers clenched, rest at the junction of the thighs, the attitudes of the gods Mentu and Kem. Right there, where I'm pointing. Now notice that thumb. Okay, now if that was a profile, that's what I meant when I said it was like somebody trying to cast a sort of an obscene silhouette on the walls of the tomb or the pyramid. But anyway, you see a lot of Egyptian statues here in the sign of puer. That N was identifying that was not, does not mean north. Okay. Let's see. Let him proceed as before. Then in the east, make the averse pentagram invoking earth. And that would, to come back around to the east again, that would only require us to go a quarter turn. Okay, and then we'd be facing east. Let him point the wand to the center of the pentagram and cry Therian. Let him give the sign of Vir. Not my good friend Vir, but the sign of Vir. Feet being together, hands with clenched fists, thumbs thrust out forwards, held to the temples. The head is then bowed and pushed out as if to symbolize the butting of a horned beast, the attitude of Pan, Bacchus, etc. Okay. And there we go. Good morning, dear. Don't put up with any shit from her. Okay. Proceeding to the west. Proceeding as before, let him make in the west the averse pentagram of water. And let me go to the west. That's what the pentagram, if we're facing west. Pointing the wand at the center of the pentagram, let him call upon Babylon. Let him give the sign of Mulier, or Mulier. The feet are widely separated and the arms raised so as to suggest a crescent. The head is thrown back. The attitude of Baphomet, Isis in welcome, and the microcosmic Vitruvius. Okay. And those are also the signs of NOx. N-O-X. Let him break into a dance, tracing a centripetal spiral widdershins, enriched by revolutions upon his axis as he passeth each quarter, until he comes to the center of the circle. Then let him halt, facing Boleskine. Okay, one full revolution, if you do that. It also says you can do this just by standing in the center. A little later on it says you can do this just by standing in the center of the circle with your wand held in the attitude of Ta. Let him raise the wand and trace the mark of the beast. Oh, excuse me, the mark of the beast. I showed you this yesterday. The mark of the beast. And cry, I was. Let him trace the invoking hexagram of the beast. There we go. Let him lower the wand, striking the earth therewith. Then let him give the sign of Mater Triumphans. Oh, I lost my page there. Okay, Mater Triumphans. It's like that one. It's like Isis nursing, holding the baby Horus with one hand and holding her breast to nurse it with the other. And I think I've got a L-A, A-L shit there. Okay. Let him give the sign of Mater Triumphans. The feet are together, left arm curved as if it supported a child. The thumb and index of the right hand pinch the nipple of the left breast as if offering it to that child. Let him utter Thelema. Now, all of these words are 93 words, okay? All of them, okay, in their own way. Form a spiral dance moving diasyl, okay, or clockwise, and whirling widdershins, counterclockwise. Each time on passing the west, okay, do you see on the inside of the circle, I've got the north, south, east, and west demarcated, okay? So just keep that in mind. So you're moving in a spiral, and you're moving clockwise, but when you reach the quarter, you whirl on your axis widdershins, or counterclockwise. Perform the spiral dance moving diasyl and whirling widdershins. Each time on passing the west, extend the wand to the quarter in question and bow. Before me the powers of La to the west. Behind me the powers, now you're doing this all while facing west, okay? On passing west, extend the wand to the quarter in question. So you're standing here saying all of this. You're standing right there. Before me the powers of La to the west. Behind me the powers of Al to the east. On my right hand the powers of La to the north. On my left hand the powers of Al to the south. Now you leap up in the air, and you're going to either have to leap really high or talk really fast. Above me the powers of Sht, leaping in the air. Beneath me the powers of Sht, striking the ground. Within me, the powers. Now, you do that in the attitude of ta erect, or in other words, just standing erect, holding your wand right at the center line, holding it vertically in the center line, right running up the front of your chest. The feet together, hands clasped on the vertical wand. About me flames my Father's face, the star of force and fire, and in the column stands his six-rayed splendor. And mercifully he adds parenthetically, this dance may be omitted and the whole utterance be chanted in the attitude of ta. Guess which one I have chosen to practice over the years. The final gesture is the same as the first gesture. So, you draw your pentagrams, you go around, performing the powers. So we've got L-A-A-L, sht, L-A-A-L, sht. So that leaves these holy words, Lashtal, Thelema, Viaov, that's E-I-O with a Vav in front and back, Agape, or Agape, Aum. Those are the words of power, whereby the energies of the Aeon of Horus work his will in the world. Now, before I'm always talking about formulaic words like abrahadabra and things like that, the greater your understanding of the significance of what those words mean, like abrahadabra is that wonderful union of 5 and 6, the wedding of you and the holy guardian angel. Once all of that is more or less installed in you, the utterance of that word is more than just some gobbledygook word that you do for magic power. Now, it means that you've already incorporated the dynamics of what that word represents. The whole idea of this seemingly, it's very brief, but seemingly complex ritual is just to get you oiled up to say those words. Lashtal, Thelema, Viaov, Agape. So there's lots of jokes about the word Lashtal because it's got a sheen and a tet. And it looks like shit, okay? Above me the powers of shit, beneath me the powers of shit. Well, you can laugh all you want, okay? But that word, once the dynamics of that formula are installed in you, okay, you can move mountains with that word. Okay, that's it for today. I'm going to probably burden you one more time with Crowley's analysis of those holy words for tomorrow's get together. But if you don't want to wait to hear me stumble through it, you can read it directly right here in a lot of things, in Theory and Practice, in the Big Blue Book, and other people's works. But this is mine, The Magic of Aleister Crowley, Handbook of the Rituals of Thelema. And that's it for Sunday School today. And that's when Adam fell from grace. We'll see you tomorrow, I hope. Until then, continue to be good to yourself, be good to each other. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law, love under will.